What if I told you that the number one reason that you're not successful is because you're trying to be somebody that you're not? We're going to talk about in this video really being authentically you and why it's so important to guarantee your success in this life. There's a quote by Oprah that reads, "I had no idea that being your authentic self could make me as rich as I've become. If I had, I would have done it a lot earlier." So Oprah is basically telling us that the secret to success is being your authentic self and not trying to be like everyone else. And you've probably heard the quote that be yourself, everyone else is taken. I love that quote. And I think that resonates a lot because also it's exhausting when you're trying to be someone that you're not. And we're going to get into it, but when you're authentically you, it actually gives you energy and really empowers you. So that's how you know you're really living in alignment with your authenticity. To start, let's define what is authenticity. Authenticity is when you're in alignment with your values, your beliefs, and your personality, and you act accordingly. And some reasons that people are not authentic to themselves are really based around fear of rejection, comparing themselves to other, and people pleasing. I'll share a personal example of a time when I was inauthentic. And actually, it's kind of scary to think about, but it was really most of my life, if I'm being honest. And I think that's why this channel is really focused around authenticity, is because once I really embraced it, it really changed my life for the better. And most of my life, I'll kind of start out when I was younger. I was even scared to speak at all. I think I shared that one of my other videos, but a lot of times I was asked questions and my sisters would answer for me, or I just didn't talk because I was so scared of saying the wrong thing or not fitting in. So for a long time in my life, I was super shy. I had a lot of anxiety and I just never really felt safe to be myself. And then it all changed kind of. I started talking more in college time. And that's where I really started sharing a little bit more of who I am. And also working in the retail sector, you have to talk to people. So that kind of broke me out of the mold. And I really kind of like forced myself to go up to people and see how their day was going. But that was just kind of finding my voice, but I still was living for other people up until a few years ago, where I really, really found my voice and my authenticity. So don't fret if you are in the same boat and you feel like you're not living in your authentic life right now or as your authentic self, because it took me a very long time. And I think that's a very common thing. So let's talk about, why does authenticity lead to success? The first reason is that authenticity naturally builds trust. And showing up consistently as yourself really lets people know that they can feel like safe around you and that they can trust you in the long run. The second reason is that authenticity breeds alignment. So you start attracting the right people, the right things, the right resources into your life when you're being authentic. Things that resonate with your energy field and who you are just naturally start coming to you because you become a magnet for what's really meant for you. And finally, authenticity fuels your energy and your inner peace. Pretending to be someone you're not is so exhausting, and it's at the expense of your true self and what you were born and here to do. When you're grounded in who you are, you naturally perform better, you think clearer, and you take bolder actions in your life, which leads to success. So let's get into, how can you start living more authentically? First way is to know your values and your voice. And you can just ask, when you're going through your day, does this align with who I truly am? Does this align with my values and who I am in my personality and in my soul and my heart space? So use your values to guide you as you make decisions and have conversations with people in your life, instead of having those surface level conversations like, "Hi, how are you? I'm good. How are you?" Use your authentic voice to really create deeper connection with people. So if someone says, "Hey, how are you?" you can be honest. And of course, is it isn't someone that you never see. This is like, if you want to build a deeper connection. If you're at work and you've never seen someone before and they say, "How are you?" and you tell them your whole life story, not the right timing, right? So know the space. But if someone asks, "How are you doing?" and then you say, "I'm actually a little off today. I'm having a little anxiety," maybe that person has anxiety too, or can help you, or they just feel more connected. So you're building those trusted, authentic connections that are deeper with people instead of just being at that surface level. You're allowing yourself to dive a little bit deeper. And another thing I want to talk about to live authentically is just to speak honestly, even when it's uncomfortable. So if someone asks you something and it doesn't resonate with you, just be honest and tell them like, "Hey, this isn't really in alignment with me," or just speak your truth, I guess is what I want to say here. Thirdly, bring your energy and your authenticity to every single thing you do. So if you're a little quirky or, a little bubbly, own it, become it, and live it. For example, I have a career related to kind of like a sales career. So I'm always talking to people. And instead of being this like structured corporate person, I talk to them just like I talk to y'all. So I'm very informal. I want to know how people are genuinely doing. And that really builds those connections. So I show up as my positive, energetic self and sometimes quirky self. And I think that really helps me in life and also in my job. Number four, dress in a way that really represents who you are. So just check in with yourself now. And we talked about this in the confidence video of, do your clothes reflect your personality, your core values, who you are, because they really should, because that's what introduces you into the world. And also make sure that your surroundings really represent who you are as well, in your home space, your workspace, and wherever you really go, your car. And just take a moment just to reflect and say, is this in alignment with me? Am I portraying to the world who I am? Number five is really to tell your story and be vulnerable. So tell your story, flaws and all, instead of just sharing your highlight reel with the world. So if there's something you went through in your relationships, you can be real about it, because we all have ups and downs in our life. It's never just this like, always up here, always in the middle, always low. That's like the roller coaster of life, I say. So really showing and being vulnerable about parts of ourselves that may not always be great, but we're being vulnerable and we're speaking our truth. That also builds connection again, and that leads to more successful relationships in your life. Number six, set boundaries to honor who you are at an energetic and emotional level. So saying no when you really mean it, even if it's uncomfortable for you. And I have a video, I'll link below. If you feel like you're not great at setting and keeping boundaries, check it out. It's a great way to kind of really get comfortable with it and just start the practice of setting boundaries and sticking with them, because that's protecting your authenticity and it protects your energy and your emotional body as well. Number seven, stop apologizing for who you are. And I know as women, we do this a lot. So saying, sorry if this is weird, or sorry if this, there's so many times we're apologizing for who we are. And instead, I want us really to own who we are and say, this is me, or other things that are like that, because you should never apologize for being who you are if you're too much or this or that. Own it. I really want you to own it. Number eight is to really truly check in with yourself on a regular basis. There's always going to feel like there's these obligations to people, places, and things. And sometimes there are obligations, but sometimes it's time to reflect back and say, is this something that truly reflects me? Or is this something I think I should do? And really just check in with yourself. And this could be daily, it could be weekly, it could be in the moment. I am always a weekly reflection person, but this is something you can even journal about to say, like, or if you're having trouble making a decision, that just came to me, is sometimes we struggle and we're kind of like 50-50, like, I want to do this, I don't. See the why, figure out why you're indecisive, because that will lead you to if you're being authentic and you're being true to yourself, or if you're doing it because someone else expects you to. Number nine is to really celebrate yourself and what makes you different, because you are uniquely you and no one can walk the path that you're here to walk. So if you're really funny and you have a great sense of humor, let that fly, like let it out, and really celebrate what makes you different. And finally, I really want you to surround yourself with people who get you and celebrate you and are there for you. So people that are really supportive of who you authentically are, and really distance yourself from those environments that cause you to feel like you need to shrink or dim down your light, because those are not your people, and you're here to live big and authentically. And I want to address something here because we've covered 10 ways to authentically be yourself. But sometimes a lot of fear will creep up when we start to be ourselves, especially when you're saying no, speaking your truth, being vulnerable. There can be a lot of fear behind those things. So I wanted to take a moment to pause and reflect on that piece of it. And when fear does arise, I want you to think about, what is the cost of hiding? Because you're always trading. It's energy is currency, right? So if I'm hiding, what is that costing me in my life? And I really want you to get real with yourself on what that could be, because a lot of times growth is about sitting with the discomfort and the uncomfortability of something and just surrendering and accepting that moment as it is, even when it doesn't feel good, because it's different. We have our comfort zones, right? But when we break those comfort zones, it's not going to feel comfortable. We're going to have these fears that pop up saying whatever they want to say, right? But it's really important to get comfortable being uncomfortable and ask yourself, what is hiding costing me? And finally, I encourage you to share with us in the comments below, what is one area of your life that you really want to be authentic in that you feel like maybe you're not? And a lot of times people say it's at my job because you feel like you have to wear a mask or whatever it is. But I encourage you, if it is that, think about how being authentically you could actually be a bonus and a benefit, because that is truly what makes you successful in life. And trust me, I mean, I used to be so not authentic. And since I embraced it, people resonate with that. People want the humanness and that connection that makes you who you are. So I challenge you to maybe get into that area of your life that you want to be authentic in, and just take maybe one of those 10 suggestions this week and practice it and see how that feels for you. And let me know how it goes. We're all in this together. I think it's just so important to be ourselves, to be successful, and also just it makes you feel good when you're authentic to yourself, because you were born as you are for a reason. And if you haven't subscribed, I invite you to do so. It's totally free. You just click the button below and the little bell so you'll get notifications when new videos are posted, just like this one. And until next week, I hope you have an amazing week and be authentically yourself.